So I think I'd take a different tack on the question. I think there's no right answer. In fact, one answer is the wrong answer. I think in marketing it radically depends on what your end market is, what your approach to marketing is, etc. If you're in a consumer brand driven company, like a Warby Parker or an Honest Company or whatever, it's a lot more about creative, emotion, and selling at that level. If you are at a social media company, marketing is much more quantitative, analytical, etc. And if you're, channel selling or whatever, it's much more of a strategic marketing play. You have to really break every role down to its atomic unit. So marketing is not marketing, sales is not, And so, for example, there are cases where like a generalist salesperson who's just scrappy and persistent is going to make it work. And if you're selling into a heavily operational business like a trucking logistics company or whatever, I have found that somebody who comes from that domain, who deeply understands the customer pain point and yet has no sales skills whatsoever, actually will dramatically outperform the brilliant techie that goes in there without a clue of what goes on inside the operations of their customer. And the fact that the other person is would never pass a sales interview, but actually has a comfort level with the customer is far more effective. And you can teach them the sales skills much faster than you can teach some of the operational skills, that has great sales skills. So I just don't think there's a right answer to that. I think you really have to understand how are you selling to the customer, what are the skill sets that it takes to get there. Is this a strategic sale that requires you to think analytically about where the world is going? Is this a relationship-driven sale? Is this emotionally driven? Is it quantitatively driven, etc.? And the same is true for product, right? A lot of the best founders, are new to product, but innately understand the end market and have unique insight into that. Whereas other problems on, say, the enterprise is a much more defined, product. Market fit, it's a much more defined need from the customer standpoint. It's a matter of listening to the customer and figuring out how to specifically solve that pain point. Whereas you're never gonna create Airbnb by doing that. But if you can go directly draw a line from Siebel to Salesforce, it's exactly the same product, it's exactly the same need and exactly the same customer pain point, totally different technology paradigm. So it's just different ways, it just totally depends on what your end customer is, why the product is being sold. Is it a new technology shift, or is it a completely new market that has never had product sold to it? So there's not a right answer to this. I would deconstruct it and I would actually reverse it and say, what are your skill sets and what are the appropriate types of companies you should be working for? Because I see the biggest reason for people failing is people who frankly don't understand themselves. It's hot in social media right now, and I'm an enterprise person who's done really well in that area, and my sector is dead, and now I'm going to go switch to this other domain that I don't know. Right? Those people, despite being brilliant, persistent, hardworking, all of the above, tend to fail disproportionately. Whereas people who understand themselves and sort of can tweak one part of what they're going to sort of be attuned to where the world is going, tend to dramatically outperform because they have sort of personal fit with the needs of the role in the organization.
Thank you, that was incredible.